when you start taking him on and as Christopher said, giving him the platform, then it's you who are starting to look like you can't quite join the debate.
Let's take another question. Can you hand that woman the microphone? I'm sorry. We'll get to you next.
Okay, my question is the following. There was a cartoon in the New York Times a couple of weeks ago which was never talked about, and it was from Ohio. They always do a synopsis of cartoons that they think are particularly relevant. And so it was the Pope saying, "I'm sorry that my remarks about Islamic violence provoked Islamic violence." Now, nobody made a big scene about that, but who made the big scene about the Danish cartoon? Who fired up the world about the Danish cartoon? Who got it started? It was an Islamic cleric who got everybody in an uproar.
What's your question?
So my question is, why does this happen only in this situation when it was outside of the United States, and why did it not happen here?
Okay. Daisy, do you have a... I mean, I think that was mostly addressed to you.
Yeah. Well, I think what
Daisy
happened...
Kahn.
Thank you. What happened with the Danish cartoon was when the cartoon was published, there was a small little, demonstration by certain Muslim groups, and that was the newspaper decided that they were not going to pay any attention to that because they had a license to free speech, which was fine, freedom of expression. And then they took it up to some of the ambassadors of Muslim countries, and they were hoping that their intervention might have helped with the situation. The ambassadors called for a meeting with the prime minister, and that meeting was refused. And as you know, that the ambassadors are ambassadors from various Muslim countries, and they wanted to have a meeting with him. And he basically said, "I have nothing to do with this because this is not within my realm." And they called for a lawsuit, and that lawsuit was not pursued. And basically, the community felt that their hurts and their concerns were not being addressed, and they went overseas and they sought support from overseas, and then the whole situation went out of control.
All right. So wait.
No, we're saying had it.
Let Christopher respond.
No, I just want to finish the point. What I'm saying is that had it been addressed at the local level, it would have never become an international phenomena that it became. It should be addressed at the local level, like Signe did. When the Philadelphia Inquirer decided to publish that same cartoon, they called the Muslim community and said, "We want to do something about this and we want to create dialogue." Now that was responsible. That was socially responsible.
Christopher, go ahead.
When Dr. Samuel Johnson had finished his great lexicography, the first real English dictionary, he was visited by various delegations of people to congratulate him, including a delegation of London's respectable womanhood who came to his parlour in Fleet Street and said, "Doctor, we congratulate you on your decision to exclude all indecent words from your dictionary." And he said, "Ladies, I congratulate you on your persistence in looking them up." I think anyone who understands that story, which I'm pleased to see everybody obviously does, will see through the sinister piffle we were just treated to just now. If people are determined to be offended, if they will climb up on the ladder, balancing it precariously on their own toilet cistern, to be upset by what they see through the neighbour's bathroom window, there's nothing you can do about that. The imams in Denmark did the following. First, they invited the intervention of 22 foreign ambassadors in Denmark's internal affairs. Itself a disgrace. The Danish Prime Minister quite rightly repudiated it. Then they added 2 cartoons of their own, drawn by them, one of them showing the Prophet Muhammad in the shape of a pig. Then they shot those around the Muslim world until they could get kindling going under the embassies of a small democracy in the capital cities of countries where demonstrations are normally not allowed. And they violated Danish diplomatic immunity. They tried to sabotage the Danish economy. There were random pogroms and attacks on individual Scandinavians. And David Cesarani says he doesn't like the reminiscence of the 1930s that is inscribed in the cartoon. I don't like the reminiscence of the 1930s that is involved in a kristallnacht against Denmark, put up by religious demagogues and thugs. And that's what needs to be condemned.
David Cesarani.
I actually agree with much of what Christopher has just said. I think the response in the Muslim communities and in Muslim countries and in countries with large Muslim populations was abysmal. But I will absolutely defend the right of Muslims to protest in peaceful ways against those cartoons and to lobby.
So
would all of us.
Good.
So would we all, big boy.
Okay, there's a measure of agreement. Now, let's see if we can push it a bit further. Just stop interrupting, Philip.
We had a beautiful moment of agreement, so let's let David go ahead.
You're an angry man. Let's think about this town, New York. There was a gentleman there asked a question about who are these marginal, vulnerable groups. It's kind of interesting that a lot of people, certainly on that side, have decided, well, yeah, Muslims, they're not vulnerable, marginal. They don't need protection. And if you exclude them, who's left? Gay men? Women? Probably not. Jews? Definitely not. But how do we get to that position where gays, Jews in this town are now so strong, so powerful, so invulnerable? So much so that when Jesse Jackson had the temerity and the misfortune to refer to this great city as Jaime Town, it was the end of his political career. I don't know how Christopher Hitchens or Philip or Signe want to talk about gay men and women, but I guess there are quite a few epithets and words they would not use to describe their lifestyle or sexual preferences. And then there's the N-word. The N-word. Do you want it back, Christopher? Do you want it on primetime TV, front page of the newspapers?
I don't want you jailing people.
Do you want it back? Do you want cartoons of lynchings? Is that what you want?
What kind of a fool
is
question
it
is
all
this?
right to inflict that on Muslims, but not on gay men, not on Jews, not
Don't
on
be silly.
your kind of little
completely
club of vested
preposterous.
interest that you want to protect?
You're getting your
Okay,
knickers
wait.
all
Well,
in a twist here.
Philip, go ahead. He asked a
Allow me to
question.
say that
Answer
you're
his
creating a lot of fantasies for yourself that are quite ridiculous.
It's another.
No, wait, no, let Philip. Christopher, let Philip.
I take it as a.
First of
I
all-
take it. Wait,
Go ahead.
it's my turn.
appointed speaker.
I'm going to take it as a tribute to the superior.
muzzling me?
No, I'm going to take it as a tribute to the superior cogency of our side that there's this repeated change of subject from the other side. For example, nobody says it would be a good thing if the word nigger appeared all the time in the press. All we say is that those who want to be offended don't have the right to try and close down the newspapers that offend them.
Nor, by the way, is the reason
Now,
that the word nigger doesn't
nor
appear in the press because we would jail people who put it
I
there.
appeal to anyone in this audience.
advertisers
I appeal to
wouldn't
any
show,
male.
One at a time.
I appeal to,
the
I appeal
power
to
of
any.
capital. That's a good defense.
I appeal to any male. I appeal to any male in this audience
Quite proud of it.
who might see a woman being insulted at work, or perhaps on the subway, or on a bus, or on the street, or in a bar, or in a restaurant, by an obscene, loudmouthed man. There isn't a man in this room, I'm sure, whose sword wouldn't flash from its scabbard to defend the rights of womanhood in such a case. And if that wasn't the case, there's going to be no law that will protect women from men with Tourette's syndrome, I'm awfully sorry to say.
May I my turn?
It's an attempt to change the
Let's get
subject.
another question
I
here.
actually want to respond though to what was said.
No, you can't respond to him. He's on your side.
You asked me to respond to David Cesarani.
Well, no,
You asked me
let's
to
let the
respond to
audience
David
get involved.
Cesarani, who specifically
No.
was saying that he agreed with us on a point which he previously disagreed with us on, which is the idea that he thought that it was appropriate that there should be peaceful protests. However, he objected to the idea that Jews should, any Jewish leaders in America should peacefully protest what was being said by Tony Jutt by saying that they should not be allowed to put pressure on an organization where he spoke. That's absurd.
Paul, go ahead. Wait, Paul has a question. Hold on.
I'd love to ask a question quickly. My name is Paul Holdengrave. I'm the Director of Public Programs at the New York Public Library. I feel for this side which is opposed because they've been so terribly weak, and I would be surprised that after this debate there are more than 2 or 3 people on your side. But be that as it may, I would
What
like...
makes you think that?
Well, I would like to
speeches.
simply
Just ask a question,
this
Paul.
of David Cesarani. I don't understand why on earth you brought up the example of Tony Judd. You mentioned it, you didn't explain it, you said nothing about it. Could you say something cogent about that at least?
Okay.
All
right. David Cesarani.
I'll try and be cogent. It comes back to the question that Christopher Hitchens quite correctly raised. Who decides on these speech issues, on hate speech? Now, I think that American campuses are actually exemplary in this respect, and I think American government has